you cut me too deep. I think I'm dying here, man.
Welcome to the 3B Video Deep Cut Podcast.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
Aw, yeah. It's that time again for your favorite neighborhood podcast. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but welcome back.
I like an intro that we'd have no idea what the intro still is. And
Hey.
we're almost 20? Are we 20 episodes almost deep?
I don't know the official number of episodes, but here we are again with another episode of the Deep Cut Podcast with your hosts, Rotten Roger DeMarco and
Big Evil in the same room. I can reach over right now and touch Roger.
They're totally touching.
we did
Whoa, what's that? What, did Remix get a sex change all of a sudden? Who's
touch.
that?
That's definitely not Remix. He's not here because he's not complaining about the audio quality.
Got him!
But today, we are talking about a little film some of you might know called Candyman. And we reached out and brought in an expert. Evil, you want to give a little introduction?
Well, I can and will. This is not going to be more of our traditional how we kind of discuss the movie. We're going to be semi-light in how we tackle talking a little bit of Candyman.
More light than we normally are.
More light than normal, yeah. We have no, like, generally, we still, even though as light as it is, we tend to have a plan going into how we record talking about a movie. And this one, where it's like, fucking Candyman cool? Well, like, yeah, we'll talk Candyman.
Yeah.
But,
It's a perfect tie-in.
yeah, it is a perfect tie-in. My voice is falling apart all of a sudden.
A little ha-ha Primatine, clear that
Yeah.
right up for you.
But we wanted to talk Candyman because, one, it's go-to cinema for everyone involved here. But two, it involves a particular place known as Cabrini Green.
Yes,
which is a very left in shambles, abandoned style apartment complex.
It's all demolished now.
It's gone.
Yeah, that is totally gone, and now it's white people sanctuary.
I was going to say, which definitely leads into our guest's next book and or project that I believe she's working on, all about the gentrification of certain areas.
I do touch on that. I give a nice introduction into it, but I don't like... The whole book isn't about gentrification itself, no.
Ah, I got you.
But without doing all that and still letting her just go ahead and bust on in with her dialogue, this is the author of the abandoned photography of Kansas City, 1, 2, and soon to be 3, Pitcher, Oklahoma. This is our go-to guru for urban exploration and decay in cinema world. What's up, Pam herself here? How you doing? What's up, Pam? Welcome to the Deep Cut.
Hey, I'm Pam, and this is what's up.
Now, you've done a few different interviews, and you've had to, we just talked before we hit record about it, you've had to be very politically correct in your dialogue on interviews, and I was like, well, welcome to Deep Cut, where those standards are just not that high.
Anything goes here. You know, much like Indiana Jones. Anything goes.
Go say something. Say fuck.
Fuck.
Say shit.
Shit.
Say fucking urbex and shit.
Fucking urbex and shit.
That's stuff you just don't get in the rest of the interviews that you've done.
No. I have to really, really concentrate on not cussing, because I do cuss like a sailor. So it's like I have to, like, really, like, look at the person or really focus on the question that they're asking. And it's like, and then while they're asking that, I'm totally planning it in my head. It's like, okay, I'm gonna talk about this particular place, and I'm gonna try not to let any F words slip.
I could not be on the real radio.
Yeah, we'll never be on the radio, but I liked when I could listen to you be on the radio, and if someone asks, like, is she, like, super nervous? I'm like, no, she's just super focused on not cussing on public radio.
Right. It's a cross we all have to bear. We are not the most refined of radio hosts and or authors, I suppose.
Who would want that shit anyway?
Right. That's just who we are. That's just how we talk. And I was really excited to kind of scratch the surface on Candyman, and especially since it ties in so much to what What's Up Pam does. I didn't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about Cabrini Green in general, or you want to talk about, some of the places that you've, photographed?
I can go either way. We can talk a little bit about Cabrini Green. I do know a little bit. I'm no Cabrini Green historian.
Poquito.
And then we can just talk about abandoned places in general, places I've been, places I want to go. Sure.
All right. Have you ever seen any graffiti as awesome as the graffiti in Candyman, though?
I have come across not necessarily like the one spot where Helen walks through the wall and then, through the open mouth. That one, no, but I have seen a lot of good pieces. There's a lot of wicked talent out there that is hiding behind places that very few people will ever see.
Nice.
You had to take a guesstimate, which is higher, hate speech or dicks?
Dicks. I do see a lot more, and it's
Dicks
not
galore.
good dicks. They are like these childish juvenile, just like the big long penis and maybe like a couple of balls, and they always try to do that something squirting out of it sometimes. But there's a lot more dicks than hate speech.
There you go.
I don't know if that's a better or. No, fuck it. I'm gonna say that's a better way to look at
It's
it.
definitely that's a better use of your time.
I would rather encounter like going into a place, all these funny dicks, haha, as opposed to, racial slurs and swastikas, and it's like, okay, this doesn't really set like a really
Chalk
good
outlines
tone.
and shit.
Pentagram of dicks drawn on the wall.
That would be a lot more welcoming than, a wall of like swastikas and racial slurs.
No other place you're going to be able to hear something like that, where a pentagram of dicks drawn on the wall is more of a welcoming message than other things.
Only
Only
here
in
at
the abandoned.
and only here at the Deep Cut Podcast, folks.
And you've got I know the stories, but you kind of fell into this world of urbexing by
Yes.
watching a certain program on the Netflix.
Yeah, it was
so-
like 2014. We were watching some Netflix. They had a show on there at the time. I don't know how many seasons or how long it went on, but it was called Forgotten Planet, and they talk about, in the first episode, each episode is 2 cities somewhere in the world, and the first episode was Pripyat, where Chernobyl happened.
Right.
And then Pitcher, Oklahoma. And that ended up only being like 2 hours from where I lived. And so it's like just out of morbid curiosity of, let's go and look at a ghost town.
Right.
So we just cruised down there and went and checked it out for the day. And it was really cool. It was really weird. I went at that point just as a curious onlooker. I wasn't into urbex photography at the time. But it was a very post-apocalyptic vibe to the place. There was still some signs of life. There was still a couple people still living there. But other than that, it literally was this ghost town that was falling apart.
And so that's what propelled you into doing this as a gig, or how did that all
I guess
come
that's
about?
when I was bit by the bug.
Right.
And then I kind of started doing, like research, finding places to go, a lot of YouTube, just Googling all kinds of shit. And from there, I kind of got a list of places to go. And I really started in 2016, just hitting it hard.
Nice.
But I did a lot of research I'm kind of one of those nerds. I research a bunch of shit for like a year and then I'll go do it.
Right.
That's stuff you just dig doing in general. You like just diving into that research end of things, and to find a way to tie it all back to how we always have our love for Adam Green and Joe Lynch. You have your own unique way of doing your photography, and you don't use, as in a lot of people do, like a traditional quote unquote camera and tons of fancy lenses and shit. You still use your tried and true method of your phone.
Yeah, I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to that. I'm not there, like, with the regular camera and everything, like a DSLR. There's more that you can do with it, but I'm not trying to be artsy. It's my goal to just kind of capture, like, hey, look at this decay. Look at this pile of shit here that's been left behind.
And that's the beauty of things now is technology has gotten so advanced that you're able to be a professional photographer or make films with iPhones, with Galaxy phones. I talked to you guys about that Unsane movie. Was completely shot on an iPhone. You shoot on an iPhone, and it doesn't necessarily matter the equipment that you have. It's all about the eye, and it's all about the talent. And I think that that's even more impressive, being able to do something and have people not know that you are using, you know what I mean? Like, they don't know what equipment you're using. They just see the outcome and they're blown away by it. By any means necessary. Like, any means necessary filmmaking, any means necessary photography. And technology is finally at that place where we can do it. We can do those things with
just an iPhone.
Yeah, the
or
device that's in your pocket.
I mean, and it's one thing for when, like, you or I, like, I've told her for a long time, it's like, yes, it's the eye of the photographer catching the stuff is where it counts. It's not the equipment. There's no reason to ever be ashamed of whatever equipment you're using. But again, we're connected to you by personal relationships. So our word can only go so far. An outsider's word can go a lot further, which goes into us talking and meeting up with Joe Lynch at a mini convention type thing, and talking to him about your photography and stuff, and how you were on the edge of really getting into doing your first book.
Actually, that hadn't happened yet.
Had not even happened yet. I thought you were
whole book
on your
thing
way
happened.
to it.
Like, that started at the beginning of the year. Like, that whole Panic Fest meeting Joe Lynch was like January, February of that year. It was early on. I remember.
Because it was cold. It was cold.
Yeah, and I remember it just being then. And then that didn't happen till I got the notification on my Facebook about, hey, I saw that you do this. Contact me. And that was November 31st. 2018. Yes, 2018. Sorry, the last couple of years have been a blur.
Oh, I bet.
And then, of course, 2019 came. I got the first book turned in, and the rest is kind of history. And now I'm just finished book 4, working on book 5.
But back then, when you were talking with Joe, he, of course, asked the question that you get asked periodically, is like, what are you shooting on, kind of stuff. And you had, at the time, begrudgingly, like, well, I use this phone. And Joe, being the fucking guy you just fall in love with for us, immediately was like, no. It totally doesn't matter the kind of thing you're using. And went into immediately, like, you heard of this movie? And all shot on
he went
iPhone.
into, like, all these different movies. And one of the only movie I do remember on that list that he's like, have you ever seen the movie Tangerine? Which I actually did go on to see. But he was like, that was all filmed on an iPhone. And he was just so encouraging that I kind of just kept plugging away. And now here I am, 2 iPhones later, almost 5 books later.
Yep.
He got the dedication.
In my first book, he was part of the dedication.
Part
he
of
didn't
it.
get the full ordeal.
I was pushing, like, you should just dedicate this fucking book to Joe, because, like, yeah, I can say you've done awesome, but it's like even Joe's like, oh, you're my spouse, you're supposed to say that kind of stuff. But when someone like Joe Lynch, someone that's done what he's done, can come by and say you're doing awesome shit and keep doing it, and it doesn't matter this or that, that gives you a whole different fuel that is just is like pouring that fucking liquid Schwartz in the fucking camper.
Absolutely.
Totally. I like your little allegory there of the Schwartz and the RV, the gas.
Because that's what it does. And
Definitely gives you that boost.
It fuels that creative juices that you tap into when you need to. And it's always good to have those kind of shorthands. It's like, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's very easy to, like, second guess yourself and kind of doubt, like, am I good enough to do this? And speaking from experience of what we're doing right now behind the scenes with prepping for this movie and stuff, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of days I wake up like ready to conquer the world, and then there are other days where I wake up and go, am I full of shit? or can we actually make this happen? And then, like you said, like, just getting that extra little boost from someone like Joe Lynch or us with Adam Green and Joe, like, badgering them until they give us that, they give us that.
Tell us we can do this.
Yes, please just, like, give me that pat on my shoulder and tell me I can do this. And now we're like full blown going into it and we're going to make it happen. And you're trucking right along and kicking major ass. And, your books are selling like crazy. Like you're truly living the dream off of something that you would just carry around and check Facebook with. Like that's the other thing. Like it's so minimal. It's amazing.
It's surreal, but I will be eternally grateful that people are so just enamored by decaying buildings. Like, there are just so many people that are like, oh my God, I wondered about that place for so long, or oh my God, I've driven past that a million times and always wanted to check it out, but I've always been too scared. And I hear that on a regular basis, and I'm just grateful that people are curious about what's inside abandoned buildings.
I didn't write down questions, and I'm sure
it's all good.
You've been asked many a question. I know there are certain things that you see in every building that you go to and things like that.
Yep.
But let's start it with what's the weirdest thing that's been left behind in a building that you've seen?
Okay, I don't know if it was. I don't know what the purpose of this was there for, but I did this place like a year ago. I had been watching this building for a long time. It used to be a hospital, and doing the research even before it was a hospital, it was a hospital for hemorrhoids.
Okay.
It basically was. It was a proctology practice that specialized in what they called at the time piles. I had to look it up. I'm like, what the hell is piles? You got piles coming out of your ass, and it's just an.
I've been there.
Yeah,
it's an old-fashioned word for hemorrhoids.
I'm on my fourth one today. I'm on my fourth pile today.
I got the piles. I got a bad pile going.
I'm glad we know this now.
I got a pile on my ass the size of a walnut,
But there was all these medical mannequin butts. In numerous floors of this place, and it's I don't know if it was for the Piles Hospital or if it ended up being part of the hospital that was there afterwards. I don't know if these were there for some kind of medical purpose or
Target
I
practice.
Really don't know.
It's a Sir Mix-a-Lot video.
There was no holes, so it's not like it was a practice, it wasn't a practice medical butt for enemas or anything. It was solid, so there was no holes in the mannequin butts. I have a picture of me with this mannequin butt.
Mannequin got back
with one of the mannequin butts, but it's literally just a couple inches above the butt, a little bit of the legs, and then there's just these medical mannequin butts everywhere, and it's what the fuck?
Sometimes that's all you need.
That's very strange.
Yes, I find dead animals quite frequently. I encounter homeless people a lot. They tend to be pretty cool, but
You have encountered one thing constantly, which you immortalized in some ink on your arm as well.
Oh, I always find a lone chair.
Like a room that's empty with just a chair?
Yeah, sometimes it's in a hallway. It's completely dark. All of a sudden we put up the light to look down the hall, and there's this just random chair waiting for somebody to sit in it.
Session 9.
Yeah, there's always. I find them so much. I actually made a photo album on my photography page called The Lone Chair for just as a tribute to all these abandoned chairs in each of these places that they're just there, these lone chairs.
We'll have you plugging where people can find those books near the end of the show. But because you now professionally you do this urban exploration photography, you have become how I become with wrestling and cinema. Semi-hypercritical about when abandoned places show up in cinema.
Totally.
So how do you rate some of the abandoned scenes we find in Candyman?
That I can't really judge that too much because it really does look good throughout the movie, like an abandoned building would look, but there were still people living there, so it's there's still doors and there's still a few good windows that aren't broken. Right. That doors getting torn off is a commonality. If there are windows, it's actually quite shocking. It's wow, this place has been abandoned forever and we have a window here.
Mm-hmm. Someone didn't smash it like an asshole. So here's a question. that pertains to Candyman, because there is in Candyman there is the infamous bathroom that's across from the grocery store, and there is there's always shit everywhere. When you go into abandoned places, have you ever gone into bathrooms and are they caked in shit like they are in movies? In movies, these bathrooms are always just like toilets filled with shit on the walls, shit everywhere.
Looks like a trucker just bent over and exploded.
I got a Taco Supreme Deluxe talking back at me.
I have not encountered
Joe Grizzly, bitch.
the shit-covered bathroom. I have seen shit in toilets. I have seen shit in busted toilets, but I have not seen a shit-covered bathroom to date.
To
yet.
this date.
It's just been the pile of shit in the toilet or in the broken toilet.
How about random piles of poop in rooms that aren't bathrooms?
Yeah, but those tend to be like raccoons and stuff.
People poop?
Actually,
This is human feces.
I did this
Tell
church.
by the corn.
I did this church about 10 months ago, and then I revisited it again like about a month ago. And the first time I was there was like a copy paper box, like the lid of a copy paper box, and there was a paper plate in the lid and a pile of shit, and it was like human shit. And I mean, I just kind of saw it and looked at it and was like, okay, that's shit in a box. And that, I tell you, when I went back to visit like a month ago, that box with the shit on the paper plate was still there.
You should have taken, the right when you saw it and then a month after poop. Like, you got to start.
I don't tend to take pictures of. I do take pictures of the dead animals that I do find. Even if they're skeletons or whatever, I'll take that. But I guess
start an album for me, specifically for me.
The shit.
Yes.
Yes.
The shit.
I know you've been asked several times in your previous higher class radio interviews about anything supernatural or scary, and you've told about one instance where you had a potentially supernatural thing kind of happen.
I personally wasn't on a shoot for an abandoned place myself that day. I was with people who were...
You were a tag-along.
Yes, I was merely a tag-along for Peculiar Encounters that day.
And you got to see, it was just a door that opened.
Like... literally, like, we're standing in this hallway, and Eric is standing in front of the door, and he's kind of, I would consider him goth, but now today they call that emo, I guess. But he's standing in front of this door with some funny vandalism on it. It said goth, and it was scratched out, and somebody wrote emo over that. And he's literally a foot from the door, but he's standing in front of it, and this door just opens. And it's like, okay, so we're all kind of standing there. There's 3 cameras on him. We're looking at the door. His back's to the door. Then after it opens, of course, he kind of steps away from the opening door, and he goes, okay, this is the ghost hunter in me, but if you want us to leave, close the door. And no bullshit. I am like the biggest skeptic. I don't know. I'm going to leave that statement alone, but that door...
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm the same way, man. Like, you need to show me some real shit.
It's like, I don't know if I believe, but I kind of believe, I think.
want to, but I'm not going to be fucking hoodwinked.
Right, and I'll tell you, that door fucking shut. Usually when I hear a lot of people talk about ghost stories and how their house was haunted as a kid, and I'm kind of like, yeah, whatever. That's probably just some kid stuff that happened to you or whatever the fuck, because, I mean, whatever.
A lot of things can get, in the heat of the moment, you lose track of where logic stops, and, like, you start putting in pieces where it doesn't quite fit, and that's how you can get... I mean, I feel like that we're on the same boat of, like, we want to believe that kind of thing is out there, but we want to come at it in the most super rational, like, way of, like, trying to find ways to, like, well, how can we explain it through any possible means? And then once we've hit that fucking block where we can't find where there's any reason to it, then it's got some weight.
And that door, it did shut when he asked, and I don't think it was perfectly timed wind. It wasn't windy that day. I kind of, look for those things, because a lot of, when I hear noises in buildings, it's like a bird got in there, or it's, a door in the wind. I never really it's typical old building sounds.
Yeah.
And so I don't give it any credence, I guess you could say. So I've never had an experience personally when I was out on a shoot, but I think that because I am on a time limit sometimes, that I'm in a certain frame of mind, I'm not open to it, so that's why I don't have experiences.
Understandable. I feel like I know the answer, but I'll try to put the caveat with it. Like, would you, with an escort, even dare try to photograph Cabrini Green?
Okay, now I did do some looking, and like there's a row of townhomes that still exist in the Cabrini Green that's part of it, but all the rest of it has been demolished. Like the last building went down in 2011. So let's just say, sake of argument, it was all still there with I would want a armed escort. I would love to do Cabrini Green. I think I could come out of there with like 500 photos.
Have you done any research into what Cabrini Green is now? Like, have you seen...
Just the row of townhomes still are there, but other than that, I think it's just a big fucking open area.
Is it just a big open empty lot now?
I think it is, because I at one point watched, I think it's even on YouTube, it's like a 45-minute, 52-minute like news special that is just covering Cabrini Green from Jump Street to today. And I think at the very end, a dude is interviewed, and he's literally like walking down where Cabrini Green was, and it's like it's super been been whitened up, and it's very not what it was. And
they got like a fucking garden, like a park you can walk through or some shit.
Essentially, yeah. Like there's nothing like what it was, and it's, gosh, even after watching it, it's like I don't even, not even with multiple armed security, would I be probably cool with me or anyone I know trying to go anywhere near the place. Like, because at certain points they were just like on New Year's, like going outside and just firing like assault rifles and shit in the air.
I'm good
for the hell of it.
Yeah, I'm good.
And nobody's ever getting, and cops are like watching from a long ways away with like telescopes and shit.
You
like,
see
I
that
ain't going
shit?
in.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not going in there.
Yeah, I know, like, okay, so there was a housing project in St. Louis called Pruitt-Igoe that was kind of like Cabrini Green, and all that's left of it is like the concrete slabs that the high-rises stood on.
I know you've never like seen a dead body in any of these places you've been to, but there have been dead bodies in places that you've been to.
Yes.
So I don't know if you wanted to get into any of that. I mean, one of the places that's near and dear to our hearts, which is actually where we met, was the Ramada in Kansas City. I'm doxing us right now.
Like it was on Universal Avenue, but everybody just knows it as the Front Street Ramada. Mm-hmm. It kind of went through a few names. It was like the DoubleTree when it was kind of a high-dollar hotel back in the day.
I had my heart set on Quadruple Tree.
And then
The DeLorean ran over two of the trees, and it's just the DoubleTree.
when it did end, it was a Howard Johnson, but it'll always be the Ramada
Yep.
to me. I don't give a shit what other people call it. And that's where we used to have our horror conventions at. It took place from 2012 to 2016. And then in 2016, the owner straight up like bounced to Brazil. And then a week after that, making it 2 weeks after the hotel was abandoned, the scrappers and vandals, it was a completely different place. And I believe it was at that point, it was super hot, but I'd like to think that the smell wouldn't last, through the whole decomposition. Like at some point,
Right.
maybe the smell would stop. But while we were there was a dead body in the elevator shaft. It was some scrapper, I guess. I don't know.
He just fell because he was trying to get
I
stuff.
think he just fell. He may have been thrown down. I don't know what the fuck the story was, but he was there.
Speculation.
He was there. He was dead. He was in the elevator shaft.
He gone. Yeah, and I know that the pictures that you took of the Ramada, when you took the first set of pictures, which are all available on your Facebook, which is Red Vixen Photography, but we'll do all that plugging and whatnot at the end. But those pictures of when it was first abandoned, like you said, you went in and everything was pristine.
Cherry condition.
Those pictures are almost scary. Like when you look at those pictures and you look at how, it's like time just stopped.
It's like the Langoliers
like
airport.
everything's still going. Lights are on. Music is playing in the lobby. The fountain is on. You know what I mean? Like, TVs in rooms are on, and no one is there. Like,
It was kind of like Picture Oklahoma. You know, it's like there were signs of life. Like, there actually was one guy who lived in like the apartment complex part that was there, and he was like throwing knives at a board outside. So it's like, okay,
sounds like something you
we're
do,
not
you
going to
know?
go talk to the knife thrower.
Right.
But like driving around, there was like probably about 4 or 5 other houses, and you'd see like one had a swimming pool full of water. The other person had these beautifully just planted like fucking flowers in front of their house. And so there were like signs of life, but besides the guy throwing knives, there was like nobody around. And it's like, who's planting these flowers? Who's swimming in this pool?
right? So here's the crazy thing about that Ramada stuff, which is something I guess I've never really thought of. But like, when it closed, but like all the lights were on, everything was going on, like, how does word officially get out to everyone that it's completely abandoned? Because from the outside looking in, you're seeing lights on, you know, you're hearing music and things like that. Like,
How does it get from
how do you come
from
in?
like a guest to being like, they got shit in there we can just steal?
Right.
It's all word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's a network. I know there's a network of urbexers. Like, there's some of us, we're friends. We share information with each other. And I can imagine that scrappers aren't any different than us.
Right, there's
you know, it's
some
like
sort of secret scrapper community out there.
probably they're out there, you know, trying to get their copper, trying to bust up them fucking air conditioning units.
They call us the copper coolers. We come by and we take all the copper.
And the coolant.
We don't want the TVs. Oh, that's old school shit. We want the copper.
So when you went that second time and it has started being kind of ransacked, and there are people in there just pillaging, essentially.
Yes, there were people in there with us, and like me and my people, we're just walking through, taking pictures, being reminiscent. Probably not the best place to be reminiscent,
Right.
But like one floor we got to, there were 2 guys on one of the floors just tearing out metal wiring from the ceiling, and we're like, "Excuse us," and he's like, "Yeah, excuse us." And they kept tearing.
cool, man, it's cool.
They kept tearing shit up.
Pardon
we kept
me.
fucking walking. Then there were like some people, they were very agitated and angry, so I can only speculate that they were probably high on something. But they're like breaking glass. They have a fucking, what is those luggage carts full of like TVs, and it's just full of all this like mint condition stuff, and it's boarded up in the front, and they're trying to get through these boards, and they're pissed, and you can hear all this glass breaking, and they're starting to get irate, and it's like, we're down the hall, and at this point, I was like, I'm glad we fucking know this hotel like the back of our hand.
Right.
We partied in it for like,
Right, we know
what,
how to get to
6,
the roof.
7
I mean,
fucking
or
years.
do we? No.
I don't know nothing about no roof.
Right.
Anyway,
Snakes.
We know how to
snakes.
get around this place. That also didn't make any sense to me when you were telling me that story, because like they were collecting all this shit in the lobby.
Yes,
and
they-
the lobby is like, if you've never seen or heard or know what we're talking about, it's a big ass hotel that has a lot of glass, like window glass that you can see straight into the lobby. So
Yes.
you're not
revolving
being
doors, but this is all boarded up, like really good.
There's
too.
no way to miss any of that. And then even if for amusement's sake, let's say there was a way out, what was their next step? Is to wheel this fucking luggage cart of TVs like
To a
40
van.
miles down the road and hope no one asks any questions?
Right.
Okay, so the hotel at the time shared the parking lot with a college.
Mm-hmm.
So like we kind of just I always make it upon myself when I go to an abandoned place to kind of park in a popular public place close by. That way I'm blending in. My car isn't, drawing
I
attention
want to fit in.
Right. I'm not drawing attention to myself with this one rando car in front of this rando abandoned building. That way,
Do what you gotta do, yeah.
Yeah, I get in unseen.
And that was the second time you went. You went a third time.
I went
correct?
multiple
Okay.
times to the Ramada.
And by the time, the second time it was they had started kind of tearing it apart. But by the third, and you went maybe fourth.
Yeah, there was like 3 or 4 trips, and then finally, after like the trips after that, it was just outside shots because they had like gutted it and starting demolition on it. Oh, and there was a fire after the dead guy was found in the elevator shaft. Like a couple months after that, there was a fire. They believe started by homeless people trying to stay warm. Yeah, that's a typical thing as well, unfortunately. But somebody did die in that fire, and then after that, it really became a hazard. Like from the day it was abandoned to the day it was demolished was like 18 months, and that is, it sounds like a long time. But when it comes down to like other buildings I know that have been abandoned for like 20 fucking years, and then they're trying to fucking demolish it for another 2-3 years after, and it's a lengthy process. This was not.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, that didn't take. I mean, you were just saying like a week, 2 weeks, like it. And go into the. You get a chance to look at the webpage of her photography, and it's only at like a 2-week span between the initial photos of that hotel and the next set, and it looks like multiple years have gone on. Like
it's like Escape from LA or something.
Yeah,
like
they crammed a lot of fucking tearing shit up in that time frame, including the random truck that ended up in the pool.
I was gonna get there and be like that. You know,
the old pickup truck in the pool.
As
no
far
one
as
knows how or why.
I know how it got back there, but
someone drove it back there. That's why.
And I'm sure why, because they could and it was fun. I mean,
I would love to do it.
I would love to drive a pickup truck in any car, for that matter, into a
Paxton
fucking
style.
swimming pool.
Steady as she goes.
I think we're going in.
I'm gonna try jumping.
Jump the water.
But it is crazy how fast, like Evil was saying, it's crazy how fast the scrappers and all the vandalism and all of that stuff really took place, because it's a matter of weeks from the hotel being pristine to literally looking like a set of a movie, like that.
It looked like it was in a war zone.
Yeah, like it had an army of people weathering it and beating it to shit, so it would look abandoned.
I still have a
Arcades.
picture. I never posted it, but I have a picture of you when we were in the game room on the first floor, and you look like you're playing one of the video games. I still have one of those pictures of you.
Man, talk about the one time I was like, man, I wish we had a truck.
Take this arcade cabinet
I'd love
the
to take
fuck
this
home.
arcade cabinet, because you know it's not going to get anything but fucked up. And then didn't one of them like take one of those cabinets, like one of the
Throw
floors?
it down the steps or
No,
something?
actually,
No.
that first floor, there was an arcade on the first floor, and when we were in there, like, the first time, there was still, like, 3 or 4 games left in there, and one of them, I can't remember what floor it was for the life of me, 4th or 5th, but somebody drug one of those arcade games up to the 4th or 5th, like, seriously.
In one of the rooms.
No fucking power, no elevator. You took this up all these flights of stairs. They got almost to the end where like the wall and there was no window anymore, so you could just throw shit out into the pool.
They were gonna throw it out. That's what they were trying to do.
They got like seriously 3 feet from that and stopped.
They got
Like you
caught.
didn't throw the fucking game into the pool or onto the ground.
I'd like to think that was a couple of scrappers that were just strongmen competitions. Like, Gunther, I'm going to take this arcade, I'm going to drag it up 4 flights of stairs, and then we're going to pull it into this room and then hurl it off the edge. But we need to fill it with molten lava first.
All I can think of is us trying to move that couch down the steps. That's
On that day you guys damaged the wall.
Yeah, ruined my wife's wonderful wall. Yeah, it still looks like shit.
Your
Sight
wife.
gag.
Speaking of your wife was with me like the second time we went back there, and as we were coming out of the back, like 4 cop cars rolled up on us, and we all had like shit in our hands too. Like, okay, I don't make it a habit to take things, but I just wanted an ice bucket.
Right. You gotta have. Well, you gotta understand in context for the people that are listening. That hotel was responsible for a lot of our friendships and responsible for a lot of the way our lives are going right now. So it's kind of like sending off an old friend. Like,
And I wanted a damn ice bucket.
damn right.
They all wanted something. Like, a lot of people wanted room numbers, like we took.
I did take a few room numbers.
Like-
It's like, dude, this place is going to be fucking a pile of debris here in like a week. Okay, maybe it was a little more before a week, but I did take a few room numbers.
I think in the grand scheme of things, that's okay. I think
Room
it's okay.
420 was gone. I was pissed about that, but I did get 237.
There you go. So the people, the scrappers and the crackheads that were in there were obviously not horror fans. They were just weed fans, I guess.
But the fun part is we're gonna take the room number 666, and that one when we got there, you had said that one was already been, someone had swiped that one.
Yes, that one was swiped very early on.
But we actually had the 6 degrees of separation between what happened to that 666 room number.
Yes, there was somebody involved with the convention that ended up getting the 666 plate. I won't say who it is, but now that person ended up giving it to this tattoo artist that used to, he would go to the cons every year with us, named Weird Harold. And that is on the wall at Weird Harold's tattoo shop out in Belton.
Because he used to always reserve that room when he would
Yes, 666. Marcy always made sure that Weird Harold got that room.
Oh, that's badass.
And he has that 666 plate. Next time I go out there, I'll have to take a picture of it for you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just insane. One other crazy thing is this hotel is abandoned. And we got to give a shout out to our good buddy James Balsamo because this is the ill shit.
I know where this is going. I know where this is going.
Yeah, because you could tell it. But
I love it.
Yeah, go ahead with the lobby.
Yeah, that was like one of the
Wait,
two.
were we in? No, we weren't in the lobby. We were in the breakfast area.
No, it wasn't even in the breakfast area because we were looking at the breakfast area and we got back to like the corporate office section.
I was still in the breakfast area because when I took that picture of you holding those, I won't say what. I'll let you get to that. But we were in the fucking breakfast area.
And I'm also upset that neither of you thought to bring me the waffle iron. But
people were still making breakfast. I think their homeless were still like cooking and eating shit
there was
in the kitchen.
Piles of spoons and piles of like bran flakes and shit all over the floor in there.
Oh yeah, but yeah, one of the rare occasions I went with you on one of your adventures because I got just as much tied to this place as any of us here. But we went back into like the corporate office section, like where the desks and shit were, like offices and stuff. And a friend of ours that is his own filmmaker, director, has his own line of movies out, schlock to the 1000th degree.
Yes, indeed.
James Balsamo. You can find his cinema all over the place. It's
Everywhere.
very unique. Very unique, yeah. And he was always a convention goer there. And this was this was at least 6-8 months after the convention. And technically he wasn't even there the last year, so it'd been a year and a half
since
roughly.
he had set foot in the...
since he had been in that building. And then going through that back offices, I happened to stumble across 2 of his DVDs.
Was it, I believe it was...
Bite School.
Bite School and Catch of the Day?
Yeah, Catch of the Day.
Hey, guess what?
And they were still fucking wrapped.
Still sealed, just sitting on a desk.
Should have took them because guess what? I'm in both of those movies.
I did take them. I was like, Boom! I am taking these movies.
We did tell him, like, when we got home, it's like, dude, I messaged him all like, dude, we were at the hotel. It's been fucking abandoned. You're not going to believe what we found.
Your movies.
Shout out to my man, James Balsamo, the hardest working man in Hollywood.
Which is great that, like a year and a half and no one's like, these movies are still here. What should we do with them? Leave them for tomorrow. one more day, someone will do something with them. And they're like, yeah, it's time to go.
So this isn't like a widely known thing, but if you've seen me at my shows locally, I do sell some prints, and within some of those prints, I did a series of semi-nude photos, and I call them breast and blunts because you can see my boobs and I'm smoking a blunt.
It's Nudie Magazine Day.
Yes, and my boobs, one of those pictures of my boobs hangs on the wall at James Balsamo's house. Apartment. It's his apartment.
Just wait, and one of those movies will be shot there and it'll be on the wall, and then technically you'll have an IMDb page.
I'll be like, oh my god, it's my tits in the movie.
See, Jane's big breasts. Sorry, that's an In Living Color reference. Deep cut.
Don't you want to be famous?
He's James Balsamo. He's not a Weinstein.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't mean to go there. Did not mean to go there. So anyway, Candyman, right?
Candyman, great movie.
We did, speaking of that hotel, we did meet Tony Todd. God, what year was that? They all kind of run
15.
together. 15? Okay, 16 was the last year they had there. But Tony Todd came to Crypticon 2015 when it was still at that Ramada. And he, oh my God, he was such an utter delight. He was fun, really personable. He really gave you like good FaceTime. And I always wanted to ask him something I like about movies. I always want to ask people about movies they're in when there's a painting of them in the movie. It's like, do you get to keep that painting? Like in Candyman 3, she did all those paintings of Daniel Robitaille.
Right.
And it's like, dude, did you get to keep any of those paintings? And he said, no, he didn't get to keep the painting, but he did get to keep the coat, which he gave to his grandmother, and her caretaker fucking stole it.
Of course, they sell it on eBay.
Yeah, you need to
dickwad.
constantly check the eBay listings for an old weathered coat.
Beat the fuck out of that guy. I would not want to be on Tony Todd's bad
He's
side.
very tall, too. I was
my
shocked
God.
at how tall he was. It's
Massive hands.
Very
Yes.
big guy.
loves jazz.
I was gonna say that's where I was gonna segue into that. Like, I didn't get to ask him too many crazy questions. I mainly just let him do the talking because working the convention, I got to take him all out and about and pick him up from the airport and basically was his babysitter. And he's so much like his character in Holliston, it's not even funny. Like, that's really Tony Todd. Tony Todd will party till the fucking sun comes up. He does not give a fuck. So you have to take him to these jazz clubs. You have to take him to museums. And he's really into, like, old school boxing. So he just bent my ear about old school boxing. And he was going to do some one-man play about a boxer in Kansas City. He,
Wait, the boxer in Kansas City, or he was going to do the show in Kansas City?
He was going to do it in Kansas City.
Oh, shit, that would have been amazing.
Yeah. And so he went to a bunch of these.
You're here to see Tony Todd's one-man show about a boxer.
Dude, I
Fuck
would.
yeah,
I would
I'd go.
sit and listen
I'm
to
not
him
really
on stage.
into boxing, but I would go because it's like, oh my God, I hope
just wanna-
Tony remembers me.
I just want to be able to say that line. Like, what do you got going on? I was like, we're going to Tony Todd's one-man show about boxing.
Yeah, gonna listen to him. You know, he's like sitting on a bar stool on a stage with one light. Like,
In real life, yeah, he like his character in Holliston, he's a super hype talker. Like, even when I remember asking him, like, what's what's your plans, after the convention's done? Like, what are you going to be doing while you're here? Like, oh man, we're going to be going to the jazz
claps
club.
a lot. He claps
Yeah,
a
like,
lot.
oh, we're going to be doing this and doing that. Like, just a hyped up, ready to go guy.
Just remember, he don't like soft ass shit.
He definitely does not like soft ass shit.
That was my segue to get
I'm
to
glad
talk
I
to him.
can't fucking. I'm glad that I got to put that in there.
That's The Rock?
Yeah,
There you go, yeah.
She had never seen The Rock before. I was like, you're going to sit and watch this movie.
I never got to see it in its entirety.
I don't like soft ass shit.
And
Was he
man,
asking him about Air Supply?
no, he's like, does he like the Elton John song Rocket Man?
I don't know where the fuck Air Supply came from.
Well, I mean, he
We
does
always wanna
fly
go
through
see
the
Air
air, I guess. God damn it.
And yeah, we even had one of the 8x10 signed. I don't like the soft ass shit.
Yes, I had him sign my 8x10 from The Rock that said that.
That is fucking glorious. Even though I was like driving him around and doing all this stuff for him at the convention, I kept having nightmares. Every morning I would wake up that I didn't get his autograph. So like,
Did you end up getting it?
Oh yeah, I got his autograph. But I mean, I put it off until Sunday, so I kept panicking.
I did that with Nick Castle, and I live to regret it.
Instead of like, oh, you missed out getting it?
Yes, I did.
no.
I wanted to wait for my daughter to get there, and because she, like, Halloween and everything, and it's like, and I told him, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be back Sunday with my daughter. We want to meet you together, and he was so cool, and we talked about a different movie for a little bit, but yeah, he ended up leaving before I could get his autograph, but I'll say this. He was so fucking cool, really nice, super chatty. We talked about a non-horror movie. I think he was surprised that somebody actually bought it. I didn't say that I got it at the Dollar Tree because I totally got it at Dollar
don't
Tree.
insult the man.
Right.
I basically didn't pay for this.
The movie we talked about was the Ellen DeGeneres rom-com Mr. Wrong.
I think I remember you telling me this.
Yes, and Bill Pullman's in it, Joan Cusack, and he directed that. And it was like, holy shit, the guy who directed this is gonna fucking be there. I can't wait to just be that oddball for him.
Right. That's amazing. Did he like light up when you brought it up?
Yeah, I actually started off with, I approached him, and there's a quote in the movie. So Bill Pullman says to Ellen at one point, life is a synchronicity of chances. And then later on, when she goes to meet his mom in the movie, it's cross-stitched on this pillow. And it's a Tommy Lasorda quote. So when I finally met him, I walked up to him and I'm like, life is a synchronicity of chances. And he's like, oh my God, you've seen Mr. Wrong? I'm like, yeah, dude. I was like, I got a fucking Blu-ray of it.
Nice.
I didn't say a Blu-ray from Dollar Tree.
Right. They were practically giving them away.
Seriously, it was before she came out of the closet, but he talked about, just kind of how nice she was, how funny it was. I personally like the dry humor of Bill Pullman in it. Joan Cusack is a really hilarious stalker in the movie. Like, she's serious, but how she tries to be serious, no one else can take it seriously. I mean, see it to see it, but, it was good. I enjoyed it.
That's awesome that he directed it, though. Like, he's doing other things. I'm pretty sure he has a pretty lengthy, director...
He also did The Last Starfighter.
There you go, yeah.
You might know me as a shape, but you have to call me Mr. Director.
That is a feather in his cap.
Indeed. I've always enjoyed that. Life is a synchronicity of chances.
That's a good one.
That is some words to live by. But as we near an ending to another show, would you like to tell the dozens
and dozens
of Deep Cut Podcast listeners who you are, what you do, and where the world can we find you?
We didn't even talk about the movie that much.
That's all right.
Welcome to the Deep Cut Podcast, where we'll tell you one thing and then barely talk about that shit.
Okay, you can find my books anywhere books are sold online, and you can look for either Under Regina Daniel or Abandoned Kansas City or Abandoned Pitcher, Oklahoma. You can also check out my Facebook page at Red Vixen's Photography. I'm also on Instagram, same name, Red Vixen Photography.
The Instagram is fire, by the way, just saying.
Oh, I try to do 3 pictures every other day or so. Kind of just my full, portfolio is on Facebook, but I do put the highlights on my Instagram.
Any plans for a MySpace or?
I actually did
Tumblr.
log into my MySpace the other day to see what was still there.
How the hell did you remember the passcodes and shit to get into that?
You can click the forgot my password and reset your password.
I'm going to start a Space Hay. Do you know what Space Hay is?
I don't know what that is.
Space Hay is only on computers. You can't get it on your phone, but it looks just like the old school MySpace. So you can have a song on your profile. So I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to abandon Facebook forever.
What's your song gonna be?
It might be The Loser Wins by Atmosphere.
What was yours, and or is it still the same?
What I still had 98 friends on my MySpace page when I logged in.
Anybody is still like the fuck?
Who the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck are you? What the fuck do you want on my page?
I didn't have any messages or anything.
Where did you go? I've been waiting for you.
I remember on my MySpace, the song I had was George Romero by the Sprites.
I had a list. I had 10 fucking songs I think you could listen to.
I always just did one.
Just one?
One, I would change it
Dude, I wanted my page to be a party. You got a list.
I had a theme song. I had a,
I feel like I had a song too, but you don't have a clue what the hell.
It was, it's all about the game. You know you play it? Sing a book about
Like abandoned places,
Oh.
I'm glad that I got to be your guys' abandoned expert today.
Yes, you are, what is our 4th guest? Because we had
started with the old VHS Mikey.
Snarls for Gremlins.
Had Snarls for Gremlins, and we had Sean Clark. And now we got you.
There it is. We've had 4 guests. We will continue to have guests, and you will be back. You are a reoccurring guest on the Kayfabe for Real podcast, as well as some of the old Patreon commentaries and things like that, which we will be doing more of once COVID stops sucking the fun out of fucking life.
Once Eddie Furlong returns our emails, we will have him as a guest on the podcast as well. Eddie, you're listening. I know you're listening out there. in between all them cameos you're doing.
I'll
hit us up.
totally send you a print of my breasts smoking a blunt. Like, not my boob isn't smoking a blunt. I'm smoking a blunt.
That would be even more impressive.
That's some Night of the Demon shit.
Yes, it is. She into magic or?
I would totally say, if you come onto the show, I will give you a picture of my tits.
Come on, Edward Furlong. You know,
that-
no one else is hooking you up with breastises right now. You have a hunchback, so
That's definitely
Way
not
to
gonna.
fucking insult him.
We're gonna have to send him 4 breasts now.
maybe
Now
I'll
I'm
edit
going to
out.
have to give him like 2 pictures out of the set.
Does this apply for any guest we want to try to get on? Like any celebrity that we want to try to get on?
I'm offering tits to Eddie Furlong so far, but I mean,
He is Edward Furlong.
If that's the bar, I mean,
I'm open. I'm open to other guests. Depend on who they are.
I think the guy who stocks the vending machine is probably more famous than Edward Furlong right now. But
with the dude that's just trying to get a Pepsi.
yeah,
Hey, you can't be back here.
he doesn't stock it; he stalks it. You know what I mean? He just watches the vending.
He lurks from around the corner.
I just thought that dude was on break, just getting himself a Pepsi and like gets fucking shot and in crossfire.
All he wanted was a Pepsi.
Just one Pepsi. Now he's full of holes. Pepsi gonna come out them holes.
Busting out the freestyles.
If
But
he had a cigarette before then, the smoke would come out of those holes too.
that's 100% confirmed. I've seen it in movies.
I'm pretty sure that's
Scientifically accurate.
That is not smoke. That's the soul escaping from the body.
That's Shang Tsung taking it. But on that note, it's been another successful hour. And I suppose we'll see you motherfuckers in 2 weeks. So, Evil, any parting words?
2 weeks. How about you, Miss Red Vixen Photography? What do you send them off? Send them home happy. What do you got?
Eddie Furlong, if you're hearing this, I will send you a picture of my tits.
Tits, 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 tits.
You can say it's like